I want to pull something into the light today. I want to talk about a few different evil spirits or demons that end up running rampant through people's lives. And the first one is the spirit of rejection. You see, the spirit of rejection can start in the womb, actually. You can have a mother who has an unwanted pregnancy, and she's very embarrassed by this. And she feels like people are mistreating her because she doesn't have a husband. So now she resents the pregnancy or the child. That resentment creates the spirit of rejection in that child before he or she is even born. Then that spirit ends up following this child through their life, and they will experience rejection in their relationships, in the workplace, and even in their family. They're going to feel like they're not as important as everyone else. Now, this person has a lot of love in their heart, and they want to love someone. But even more, they want to be loved. But they're not comfortable showing their love, because whenever they do that, it's not reciprocal. It never comes back to them because of the spirit of rejection that's on them. This creates a void, and that void creates the feeling of grief. And it's the same grief that we feel when somebody dies. You know, when we love someone and they've died and they've gone away, we still carry that love, but that love isn't reciprocal. It doesn't come back to us because the person isn't there anymore. And that creates the feeling of grief. That's what grief is. Well, somebody who has the spirit of rejection on them, or the demon of rejection on their life, they live with this feeling of grief. Whenever we hear of someone talking about an evil spirit or a demon being on someone, we tend to envision the heroin addict who lives underneath a bridge somewhere. You must be talking about him. It couldn't ever happen to someone like me. Did you know that demons are a spirit without a body? And they're a spirit without a body that intensely craves to be in a body. Well, why is that? That's because the spirit of lust needs a body with members so it can lust through it. The accuser of the brethren needs a tongue in order to speak. That's why they need a body. You know, and some characteristics of somebody who might have a demon or an evil spirit in their life is somebody, you know, who is dealing with temptation all the time. God doesn't tempt us. Enslavement. You ever heard of somebody who's trying to better their life, you know, but you've heard that term, relapse? They're a chronic relapser. They just can't seem to shake it. You see, they're enslaved. You know, somebody might have a compulsion. They have a feeling of compulsion. They don't even know why they're doing something, like compulsive eating or compulsive talking. They're enslaved. You know, another one is torment. That comes from condemnation. Okay, don't confuse it with conviction. Conviction comes from the Holy Spirit, but condemnation comes from the enemy, okay, when we feel like there's no hope. And then we have defilement, where there's a nastiness to whatever's going on, whatever thoughts are coming into my head just out of the blue, there's a nastiness to it. You know, like it could happen to say I'm in the middle of worship and all of a sudden this nasty thought just pops into my head. That's an evil spirit. And then lastly, we have harassment. This can happen to, say, a young man who's getting ready to go out and serve the Lord in some form, whether he's going to preach or whatever he's going to do. And then all of a sudden, here comes all of his family members have got an issue. They got a problem that they feel like only he can solve. So it's one issue right after the next. And if we're not coming at him with an issue, we're coming at him with an attitude. See, that's the spirit of harassment. I'd like to tell you now about the spirit of the Antichrist. And that's exactly what it is it's anti-Christ. They're trying to remove Jesus. Okay, we see it. We see it in our schools. We've seen it in our government and in our courthouses. You can see it on social media. They don't want you to talk about Jesus at all. Now, we can talk about Allah, Buddha, Satanism. You can dream up any kind of sexual perversion. You want to talk about that? That's just fine. But we're not going to talk about Jesus Christ. See, they're even trying to remove him from our conversation. I want to tell you something that's kind of interesting. Whenever there's an Antichrist kind of movement, it always starts, they connect themselves one way or another to Christianity. They'll either do it through a Christian church or Christianity itself. But then they'll move out. They'll start in Christianity, move out, and they'll end up, they'll say, we've created something new. We found something new. You got to come with us. We figured it out. We're going to a higher level. See, that's always a sign that something isn't right. If you were to go to one of these services, you would hear religious phrases. You would hear Christian church talk. But you would also hear less and less Christ. See, their first objective is to remove Christ. Their second objective is to introduce the Antichrist. You see, this is something that happens very subtly, and it happens over a long period of time. Take a look at your church this weekend. Is Jesus being removed from the conversation more and more every week? So here's a big question. Can a Christian be possessed by a demon? Well, to possess means to own. So if I possess a Bible, I own every page of it. So can a Christian be possessed by a demon? The answer is no. But there could be certain areas of their life where an evil spirit still has control. Now, this person might love Jesus and be able to pray very powerfully, but they have some perverted lust in their life, something that they haven't completely surrendered to Jesus. You see, they're embarrassed. They've asked people to pray for them in this area, but they haven't released the source of, gotten right down to the nitty-gritty of the problem because they're embarrassed. You see, we got to get to the source in order to fix it. If I have a broken leg, I can't just wrap my leg in gauze and think that it's going to be healed. I have to get to the source of the pain, reset that bone, and then it can be healed. Rebellion is probably the most dominant demon in Satan's arsenal. We have a rebellious nature to us. Nobody had to teach you how to be naughty. And a young child will be all smiles on Saturday morning, getting ready to go grocery shopping. But on Sunday morning, they're laying on the floor, kicking and screaming before church. You see, that's the rebellious spirit within them. We do it ourselves. We can stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning watching some zombie movie. But if we were to be reading our Bible, we would have fallen asleep by 8:30 at night. You see, that's the rebellious spirit in us. Rebellion is all over the place. It's in society, right? Anti-police, anti-law. It's in the church. People will say, hey, if you're going to keep preaching about this, you won't see me here again. It's in our home. It's in our marriage. I don't want you to feel like there's something wrong with you at all. Let's remember that a demon is a spirit without a body, and they're craving intensely to have a body. They don't care what our income is. They don't care if we're a heroin addict or a doctor. They're just looking for a body. There's nothing wrong with you. You can see, there's members of the church all over the place. People that have had strongholds in their life for 40 years. A demon that's been sitting on them. It happens. A demon can come into a certain part of a Christian's life. But you see, we have to get to the source. We have to address the source.